Ladies and gentlemen, it is draft week. We are finally here. Feels like it's taken forever. What are the Titans going to do? We're going to get a quarterback. We're going to move back. Are we going to stay at 11? We're going to get through all of it and more on this week's show of Talking Titans. Sammy, start me up.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Talking Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, 94 yards. Touchdown, Titans! He is the baddest man in the NFL, and he just took her to the house.
The sickest Tennessee Titans podcast.
Sick!
It's gonna be sick.
What is going on, everyone? And welcome back to another edition of Talking Titans Sick Podcast. I'm joined always by my two phenomenal co-hosts, Jarrett and Vin, who held it down tremendously again last week, and I appreciate you doing that as watched my Devils at that night go down 0-2, and since then have revved it up, and we're even at the series now. So, again, thank you, fellas, for holding it down. How are we doing tonight?
You conveniently left out that my Sixers took care of your Nets in 4 games. Game 4 without Embiid, but don't worry about it. Maybe get him next year. We'll see. But I'm looking forward to this week. We're on to Cincinnati, like the great Bill Belichick once said, and 48 hours from now, some interesting things should have been already been done.
Absolutely. And I wish all the best of luck to your 76ers. It'll be phenomenal to watch them choke again as they do each year. Maybe they'll get to the Eastern Conference Finals for once. But
Maybe.
I digress. As I said earlier, it is draft week. When this gets posted, we're going to be about 24 hours away from what I would suggest and definitely believe wholeheartedly is one of the most important drafts our beloved Titans have been in a while. And I say that because obviously we know there are a ton of holes that need to be filled. But more importantly, we need a quarterback, and we need to find out how we're going to get him. And this looks like this could possibly be the time and place to do it. So I'll turn to you guys first. Any different feelings and thoughts about how this is going to play out on Thursday night? Obviously, that's only the first round. Do you think we're going to stick with our guns here and take best available 11, move back, trade up? Anything has changed since we last talked about this, Jarrett?
I don't know. I mean, we all been on a roller coaster. Like me and Ben said last week, we've been on a roller coaster where we want the quarterback, whether we want the tackle, whether we want the wide receiver. All I know is after Rand's press conference, that 40-minute press conference that I watched twice because I'm a nut job draft week, came out of it that Rand wants an impact player, whether it's moving up in the draft, whether it's moving back in the draft, or we're sticking at 11. So what I get out of that is I don't know if we're going to go quarterback. Will I like that? Maybe. Not sure. But I do know that they want a blue chip player and a guy that starts day one. So kind of that screams to me left tackle. But we addressed that in free agency. So the other position of need is wide receiver, like we've been saying this for the last couple of weeks now. There is no depth on this team. So if Jackson Smith is there at 11, we have to take him. Or if we move back and he's still available, we have to take him too. But all I know is that another thing that Rand Carthon said was he wants a playmaker with the ball in his hands or a guy that can actually take the ball away. So we didn't get nothing out of that press conference besides a great football player they're trying to draft, and they don't want to be drafting in the earlier rounds ever again. They want to be in the later rounds. So they want to put a competitive football team together. So who knows what the hell's going to happen. I'm just rooting for, I guess, the best possible player at 11, which is probably the tackle.
Get yourself some water there, Jared. Struggling.
Yeah, I know. I got. It's the allergy season.
Yeah.
Didn't take the Zysol, so it's all good.
Yeah. Well, maybe it works better than fucking Claritin because I'm dying over here. But I think the Titans have a plethora of ideas. For this draft, I don't think they even know what they're doing. I think they're going to let the situation dictate itself. I mean, there's a lot of posturing, a lot of poker playing being done. I repeated that the last few weeks, and as you can see with Carthon today, no one really wants to show their cards. No shit, we want a blue chip player. I think every team would tell you they want a blue chip player, not a player who they still think is a little green and, needs some developing. That's for the later rounds. This first round, this is his first pick as our GM. I believe, no, I was going to say John Robinson's first pick
Yeah,
was,
you're right. You're right.
was,
Conklin.
was Conklin. Yeah, a blue chip player. So it can kind of really set your franchise in one direction or the other. And I think they're going to let the situation dictate itself. I think we like CJ Stroud. I think if the Texans pass on 3, Tennessee will be on the phone to maybe go get their potential franchise guy. Who knows if they're willing to pay the price of what it will cost to get up there. Or maybe they have their eye on a guy like Richardson. They feel like if he can fall down to 5 or 6, they might not have to give up as much to move up 4 or 5 spots as opposed to 8. Who knows? So I think quarterback is a possibility. And I think if you stay there at 11, you're going to have the choice between Skoronski, Johnson, or Njigba. Somebody will be there. I believe all 3 are franchise players at their position. They're going to be productive players from day one, especially the offensive lineman, I believe. Obviously, the sexy pick would be someone like Njigba, who, killed it at Ohio State. We are in dire need of another receiver. We signed that guy off the street the other week with Houston, who sadly had more receiving yards than anyone on our team last year. We're pairing him up with a second-year guy in Treylon Burks and a bunch of unknowns. So we need a receiver, an offensive threat, really bad, very bad. But I'm a big believer in building a team from the inside out. And yes, to your point, Jared, we did address the offensive line in free agency. I think we got some good value signings. But I'm a big believer in, you throw as many linemen as you can into a room and you figure it out. When we drafted, Sal doesn't want us to take a lineman so bad he's yawning. That's how bad he wants to go get a sexy player in the Sal Manfredi fashion. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility we do go tackle. When we drafted Luan, we still had Roos. So don't think just because we addressed the line in free agency that we won't address it in the first round. Because even if we don't get him in the first round of lineman, we're taking one in the top 3 rounds. Absolutely. Maybe multiple ones. So I think Tennessee's going to let the situation dictate itself, and they probably feel as though they're not in a bad spot because at 11, if you stay there, you are going to get a blue chip player who's most likely going to work out. And if your guy is there and it's a price you're willing to pay quarterback-wise, then go do it by all means. So how do you feel about it, Salvatore? Because I know you want to go the opposite direction. You want us to go get our guy.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it enough. It's really for the sole purpose that I don't foresee an opportunity to get your guy next year. Because, again, if you're not going after a quarterback in this year's draft, you're assuming you're sticking with Tannehill, right? So now you're going to, need to figure out, are you going to try to be competitive or are you going to try to shit the bed? If you're going to try to be competitive and this guy stays healthy, you got to assume they're going to win more than 7 games next year, and they're going to be even lower in the draft. So now you're definitely getting rid of Tannehill because, I mean, he's going to be, 36, 37 at this time. The contract out is already there. And now you have to decide, now we got to give up more draft capital in order to get into the slots where we're going to need to be in order to get these guys. Now, I've been told many times that the quarterback draft next year is deeper. I don't know. I haven't looked into anything. All I know is Caleb Williams, and that's it. I don't know anybody else that's going to be in the mix as far as a quarterback in the first round. So if that's your argument, okay, I'll stand by that. That's fine. But, I've been told Caleb Williams every other fucking day now. Well, guess what? You need to be the worst team in the league if you want Caleb Williams, if he's going to be what everyone thinks he's going to be. If he's going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, 50 touchdowns, 4,800 yards, well, he's going to go number 1 then. And, if Tampa Bay wins 4 games, they're going to take him. They're not going to be like, oh, what are you going to offer us, Tennessee? Well, wait. We'll drop in the draft and we'll find. No, they're going to take the best player available, and they need a quarterback, so they'll do that. There's a plethora of other teams that could be in the mix for the worst team in the league. You don't just get a guy next year, That's the bottom line. So you're at 11 now. There's a possibility Stroud could be lower than 3. You got to give up even less to get him. You got to go get your guy this year. I'm sorry, you do. Every minute that passes, I think more and more we're probably going to take a tackle at 11. And, it's a need. but this team needs a needle mover. Like, this team needs to move the needle drastically because right now, nobody that has been acquired by this fucking franchise is moving the needle. And as badly as we need linemen aren't moving the needle right now because they could block all the hell they want. If you don't have a good passer, if you don't have a good catcher, and if you have a good runner, your offense isn't going anywhere. Now, as it stands now, we still have a very good runner. But, I've said it a million times. That style of football is not going to win you a game in February or even get you to a game in February. So, I'm just tired at this point. I as excited as I am for it, I want it to be over with because in my mind, my heart is like, this is going to be it. We're going to get our guy this year. Finally, we're going to get our Herbert. We're going to get our Burrow. We're going to get our Mahomes, Allen. We're going to get our Nashville guy that our kids are going to grow up watching and is going to retire in 15 years from now. But this team just has a way of letting you down, and not just on the field, off the field too. So I'm worrisome. I'm still optimistic. Again, this guy's a wild card. We don't know anything about Rand Carthon and what he's capable of doing and what his visions are outside of what he says at the press conferences. So we'll see how it shapes up. But I don't foresee them doing what they need to do. So
let me ask you though, just to play devil's advocate, because I'm right there with you. I would love to have our Justin Herbert. He's a phenomenal talent. I would love to have our Joe Burrow, phenomenal talent. If you got to go get a guy, who do you want them to go get? Because I know you've been high on Richardson, his athleticism. Last week, John Vogel brought up a great point. The reason why he's so high on people's boards is because he's going to enter the league at that position with a top 5 arm and a top 5, athleticism. So is it him that you want, or is it Stroud, who's more the sure thing in regards to a pure passer? So if they make their move to go get their Josh Allen, their Joe Burrow, their Justin Herbert, who's your guy?
Yeah, it's Stroud. I mean, Richardson is arguably the most athletic quarterback to come out of the draft in the last 20 years. I mean, I don't know many quarterbacks that can jump as high as him, and I know that's not a thing that really matters as a quarterback, but it still shows that you can do some incredible things with your body. I'm worried about that because of the guy we already have, and even though it was a different situation, higher caliber talent that he faced, still they're both freak athletes. They're both crazy throwers, runners, and I'm a little worried about that. But I'll tell you what, I trust my dad a lot about some of the things he says when it regards to football, and he's really high on this Levis kid. He's high as hell on him, and he says that this kid, wherever he goes, he's going to be really damn good, and he's got a steel trap of a brain, and he doesn't let anything get to him. He's watched him throw picks and then go right down the field next drive and 85-yard touch. So if we fell in love with him, and some other teams look like they might be falling in love with him too, I'd come around pretty quickly. I really would. Even though what I said, I don't like the way he looks. He eats banana peels, drinks mayo, whatever the fuck. But I'll trust my dad when it comes to quarterback talent. He says this kid's got it. So if we took him, I wouldn't mind. But Stroud's my number one, absolutely.
Listen,
yeah, he knows quarterbacks because he didn't like Malik Willis. I know that much. So
well, he did. No, he liked him. We called each other on the phone, and we were fucking flipping out when we took him in the 3rd round. But he's a realist, so he found out quickly that he's got a ways to go, and now he understands. It's time to get the guy.
I'm on the lines of obviously CJ Stroud with you guys too, but I'm more on the lines like the prove it quarterbacks with these guys. CJ Stroud's done it in big games. My God, the allergies are just killing me every time I talk right now. CJ Stroud has done it. Bryce Young has done it. Will Levis and Anthony Richardson hasn't really done it. 2 years starting, and everyone, like I said, has fallen in love with their stature of everything. They throw on the ball a mile. CJ Stroud, I had an argument with somebody over the phone, not over the phone, on the phone on Twitter, saying that CJ Stroud's not him. That if you want to wait for a guy, get Caleb Williams next year. Caleb Williams is a choke artist too. If he's trying to compare that he can't beat Michigan, CJ Stroud went toe-to-toe with one of the best defenses in college football in Georgia and just barely lost the game. Man, I'm struggling tonight.
All right.
Caleb Williams.
Give this guy some fucking water.
I know. Caleb Williams couldn't even beat Utah twice this year in the Pac-12 in the Pac-12 championship. So don't give me that bullshit. CJ Stroud's a bowler, so if we go after him, by all means, that's the quarterback I want.
Yeah, I mean,
now,
I'm not
now you
gonna
guys
hold
can
that
take
against-
over after I take a sip.
I'm not gonna hold that against Caleb Williams. You know, Utah is a very, very good football team this year. Sometimes, you know, that your guys that aren't, you know, have the best records in college, you know, they could pan out in the NFL. You know, look at what's his Mahomes from Texas Tech. You know, he wasn't winning national titles. Josh Allen was barely recruited out of high school, went to Wyoming. I'm sure they weren't winning, you know, conferences and bowl games out there.
Yeah.
You know, maybe going 7-6 and winning the Chick-fil-A Bowl, but he wasn't, you know, turning heads really when it came to winning games and beating top tier teams. So Caleb Williams is going to be that guy. That's irrelevant at the moment. When it comes to me, you know, I just don't like I don't know what it is about Levis. I think he's just weird and goofy, and I think he telegraphs a lot of his throws. To me, it's Ben Stroud. Obviously, if Bryce Young was there, you know, we know the issues with his size. I think he's going to be just fine in the NFL. I do. But obviously, we're going to assume he's not there. I love CJ Stroud. He's a smooth passer, looks very natural to him, has all the intangibles, size, height, weight, arm strength. And obviously, I think a guy like Vrabel, who's an Ohio State guy, can, you know, maybe get the best out of him. But we'll see. You know, I don't know. We don't know. Nobody knows which direction they're going to go. It is going to be exciting. I'm kind of the opposite on Sal, where he said as the closer we get to the draft, he thinks we're just going to take a tackle. I've kind of talked myself into thinking they're going to go get a quarterback. We just don't know which one it is. You know, and there's 4 guys, maybe 5 if you count Hendon Hooker, that are going to be first round picks, and who knows? We could end up with him if we trade back. We might think, shit, let's move back to 20. Let's go pick up, you know, another, maybe a second or a third and a fourth, or who knows what you could get, and go get Hendon Hooker at 20. And then you have the 5th year option on him. And then maybe you let him sit for a year, get healthy behind Tannehill, and do your best you can this year, and let the chips fall where they may. But let's just, you know, let's see what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's if we do it, I mean, honestly, I don't give a shit who it is. It could be, obviously, if it's Young or Stroud, that's going to be, you know, monumental time in our life that we're never going to forget, hopefully. But even if it's Levis, even if it's Richardson, and even if it's Hooker, if we find a way to take a quarterback in the first round, I'm going to be elated. I really am. You know, and I said this on Twitter, I think, couple days ago, as it pertains to Levis. You know, at first I'm going to be pissed, and then I'm going to be disappointed, and then I'm going to convince myself he's going to be the next Drew Brees. Like, I don't even think I'm going to be disappointed at all. Just knowing that we have a guy that is a legitimate top prospect. Malik Willis was in a respect, but we saw him drop very quickly, and you can't say he was a top prospect that got drafted in the 3rd round, so I'm not really going to count him. But this is a high caliber quarterback that we're taking, first time in almost a decade since Marcus Mariota, that is, you know, a guy we're looking to build around and a guy we're looking to have a future with. And it's going to be incredibly exciting because, you know, we've all said it. I preached it a zillion times. We've never had our guy. I mean, the last time we've had anyone close is McNair. Obviously he was good. He was very good. He wasn't elite like some of the guys that are in the league now. And, you know, Warren Moon was elite. I guess you could make an argument. Well, he's a Hall of Famer. So, yeah, he was elite, but that was well before our time. We've never had our guy. We've never had our quarterback that, you know, we grow old with. So, let's hope it happens. And that's it. You know, that's the only thing we can do is hope and pray. And goddamn, Thursday's going to be crazy. I got game 5 of the Devils and Rangers and the draft going out at the same time. I'm gonna need a fucking Xanax. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be wild. Before we get into before we have to, you know, wrap things up, I really want to put guns to your head to say, what position are we going round 1 and round 2? So when we come back into the podcast next week to see who's right or wrong. So for me, if I had the gun hypothetically to my head, I would think wide receiver and offensive line in rounds 1 and 2.
Well, if Sal's talking about fucking Xanax, you're talking about guns. I don't know what you guys are doing up in North Jersey, but please keep me the fuck out of it. I think we are trading up for a quarterback in round 1. I think we're going to end up with 3, and I think we're going to get CJ Stroud. That's just me. You know, obviously I want him, and I've kind of talked myself into it. But like I said, the last few weeks, the closer we get to the draft, the more I believe that, it's a big possibility that we do get him because to Sal's point, next year, Tannehill is not going to be the guy. And then if we go 8-9 or 9-8, you're going to be picking in the middle of the round. So are you going to be is your guy that you want going to be available? Or are you going to have to sell the farm to get, high enough in the draft to get your guy? It's a precarious situation. I don't think they want to see themselves in. So I think they go get their quarterback in the top 5, let's just say this year. And then I believe in the second round, you go receiver, maybe a guy like Zay Flowers, if he falls into the second round. I'm a big fan of, I've been watching a lot of tape recently on Mingo from Ole Miss. He reminds me of a guy who was here not too long ago, similar skill set, similar size and strength. So I'm going to say we go quarterback and receiver in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I'm going tackle receiver. Again, I don't think Carthon's going to do it. I just don't. I don't know. The way he talked about Tannehill in the presser, yeah, it could be bullshit, but I don't know. I just don't think they're going to do it. I just
never really committed to him, Byard, or Henry. I mean,
never committed.
Next week we'll get into that more, but never really committed to that. So nothing will surprise me on draft night. But
yeah,
the second round pick, I wanted to circulate names like you guys circulated. Obviously, I wanted Jackson Smith and Njigba, but the one guy I kind of want either one of them in the second round with a lineman would be John Michael Schmidt, the center from Minnesota, or Joe Tippmann, the center from Wisconsin. Both of those guys are movers, they're ballers, and they're staples on the offensive line. So if we can get one of those in the second round, that'll be a huge, huge steal.
Yeah, I just saw a mock that had us taking Tippmann in the second round. I forget whose mock it was, but yeah, I mean, you have to assume that whether we go quarterback or tackle in the first round, that the second round is probably going to have to be a receiver because we're not getting a quarterback in the second round. So you have to think if it's not a quarterback, then it's receiver, lineman, or lineman, receiver, whichever way we go. But, we shall see. Less than 48 hours, we should be just about there, fellas. There.
The only thing that I feel like because if we took a tackle, I'd be upset, but I wouldn't be angry because we really need one. Honestly, we need one as long as he is a perennial Pro Bowler. Which at 11, if you're taking a tackle, this guy better be a fucking Pro Bowler. Then I'm going to be okay. But the worst case scenario for me would be not getting a quarterback and trading Derrick Henry on draft night. That would really fucking just make me want to fucking cry because now you're sticking with Tannehill and taking away your best offensive player. That would just make no sense. Would it shock me? Not at all. Because if you're trying to stockpile draft picks and you don't want to get your guy in the draft this year, then trading Derrick Henry for an extra third wouldn't be crazy.
And guess what? You never know. This guy could be fucking having a tank in mind the whole time and doesn't blow it up until he really wants to. And who knows? He might trade Henry. He could get cut Byard or trade him. The only one we're really committed to long term at a big rate right now that we know is going to be here is Simmons. Don't put it past us that Harold Landry could be his last year as a Titan if he doesn't perform this year or stay healthy. So the only one we're committed to long term right now at a big number is Simmons. So you never know what this guy could do. He could blow it up, trade Henry, trade Byard, fucking pick up a first, a second, a third, maybe all three. Who knows? But I think we've all been patient enough, and now we're just anxious because it's right in front of our faces. We've been having these talks since the week after the Super Bowl. So we're ready for it to happen because, like we said, there's a few dominoes that need to fall, but until the first one falls, the other ones we're going to have to wait on. So after this weekend, we'll have a clearer picture of what our beloved Titans are going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be with you each step of the way. Maybe we'll discuss. I mean, if we take a quarterback in the first round, I think we're going to have to figure a way to do a pod on maybe Thursday night, even if it's super late. I don't know. If we take CJ Stroud on Thursday night, we'll figure something out. But obviously, we're going to have content flying out at you over the next couple of days. Listen to me. See, I'm all fucked up. Yeah. I can't stop thinking about the draft
probably,
and the Devils And I'm hungry because I'm always hungry. So I got everything on my mind now. But obviously, you guys know where I'm coming from. We're going to have all the content for you throughout the draft, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're going to dissect all our picks. And hopefully we have some optimistic viewpoints as far as the Titans 2023 season. So as always, make sure you follow us on YouTube, on all the podcast platforms. Thumbs up, share the show. We're continuing to grow each and every week, and we appreciate all the help we're getting from you all. So that's all we got for tonight. Anything else you both want to add before we close out and get ready for the draft?
Go Sixers, go Rangers.
Go Sixers and go. Oh, I can't even say it. I'm gonna dry heave.
I know you guys busted my balls before the show about wearing the Chinese jersey that I bought. This was almost bought 12 to 14 years ago, but this is a lucky jersey. I win money with it. Hopefully this brings us luck on Thursday. We draft our guy, and buckle up, boys. It's definitely going to be a fun ride.
That's it. That's another great episode for you guys tonight. We will see you on the flip. And as always, tighten up. And one more thing, since you want to bring up the Rangers.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Go Devils, baby. Sammy, send me out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Talking Titans on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.